Welcome once more, third installment of the co-replay series I'm doing, and this time it's myself, Kaz, and Jeremy, so Blaké, A.A.Ron, and the Welcome Lord, versus two Soviets and an ally, Voramba, Mr. Jun, and Yomu. So this map we decided to try out something a bit different. I went with my close air support doctrine, which I'm a big fan of. I'm really enjoying it. Kaz went with not close air support, whereas elite troops doctrine. So this allows him to train up troops and give them veterancy. And the way it sort of generally works is you do it once for grenadiers and they'll get to vet 3, panzer grenadiers vet 2. But you can actually use it on your allies. And we thought we'd use it on the Obersoldaten with STG packet to get them vetted up ultra fast and just basically make them ultra strong. But also we could use it on the Panther 5 command tank. So the P5 command tank, it allows you, it supports everyone in a certain area next to it, gives them increased sight, gives them increased accuracy, and it generally takes to get it fully vetted up something like 20 vehicle kills or close to it. So by doing this, even though it costs a bit of fuel, we were able to basically jump up ahead a bit, and yeah, it costs 80 manpower and 25 fuel to use. So it lets us vet up a lot faster and make our troops a lot nastier than they otherwise would be, a lot quicker than they would otherwise be as well. So the basic plan, I'll switch Bug of War off, was for, well, this wasn't the basic plan, this is kind of just how it worked out, but Kaz and I were both pushing down towards the right, whereas Jeremy went towards the center. And this was a great game. It's a long one, guys. It's about an hour and 10 minutes or so, so make sure you've got some time to watch it. There's a great to and fro, a lot of vehicle fighting, a lot of artillery. I mean, at one point, I'll check as we're watching, but from what I could see with my recon flights, they had something about 3 or 4 cats going at any given moment. So a lot of rockets and firing around, and a lot of tank battles. And it was a bit of a struggle, actually. It was at one point we were threatening to call it, but we kept persevering, and I'll let you know how the fight goes by watching. But it was a nice, long, hard-fought battle between both sides. No side really giving up. And that's what makes COH a lot of fun, when you get the big fights like this game. It lasts for a decent amount of time, and you really get to see everything that the game has to offer. You got your vehicles, your infantry, your tanks, your rockets and artillery, deck charges, and so on. And the fight sort of getting in earnest over here on the right. So our engineers are dealing with conscripts and engineers as well, but we're bringing in our Grens, desperately trying to sort of make it up and get control of this fuel point. Again, like all maps, the fuel points are really important, and they're generally what gets picked up. And Kaz and I did our best here. We're sort of a bit outnumbered, but another conscript squad coming in. Unfortunately, we just missed it. Yeah, Jeremy's managed to lose his Kuba wagon by getting flanked through the center while dealing with the front here. I think this is, yeah, also mine. So I've sent some grenadiers across. And like my 2v2, you see I've built 3 Grens straight off the bat. You need your infantry in this game, and that will be highlighted a lot as we get to the mid and late levels of this match. Sort of the lack of infantry on both sides to begin with, but we'll get there as we come rather than giving the gag away. And so my engineers here in cover have been able to take out these engineers in the building, but yeah, eventually the loss is a bit much and I don't want to lose them, so I pull them out. Kaz has a machine gun now to help us support and try and clear them off this point so that we can finally take control of the fuel. But as you see, Jeremy's struggling alone against 2 players here in the center, and he's getting pushed back pretty heavily and pretty far back towards our own line. I'm trying to send up some of my own things. That's my machine gun running forward here. So I mean, a lot of players have different builds, whether or not you pull out a machine gun sort of straight off the bat or if you wait for a bit. As I mentioned before, I prefer to have my infantry about 2 or 3 squads at least. I can change as needed, but you know, it's all, if you have a lack of infantry, you have a lack of force projection, especially early game. So later on you have vehicles, so you're able to sort of move around a bit faster. But you got to be able to take land, and to take land you need more units. So it's always good to get a solid base of infantry, about 3, even 4 units, although that's sort of getting a bit high. One thing you got to be careful about is necessarily spamming units. Quite often if you have more than 2 or 3 of one unit, it gets considered a spam, and it's alright, but there's a lot more to the game than just pumping out one unit. Although I say that, this game I basically just pump out grenadiers and AT guns, but you know, focus heavily on my air attacks. And Kaz already has a good selection, 2 Grens, a machine gun and a mortar. I've got 3 Grens and a machine gun. And Jeremy's gone as a start. Well, he's lost his Kubel, but he's got assault pyres and 2 Volks Grenadiers. Mr. Jun, 3 rifle squads, a captain. There's a captain, right? Yep. Yomu, 3 conscript squads, and Voremba, 3 conscript squads as well. So, you know, all 6 of us, geez, 3, 4, 6, all 6 of us pumping out and starting with a lot of infantry squads, rather than going too heavy on our support weapons. Let's see a fight here by Kaz. His grenadiers trying to fall back, allowing the machine gun to pin and suppress the enemy infantry. Unfortunately, he's not in cover, but yeah, he runs back up to get it, and the mortar's going to try and start hitting that pin squad. Yeah, it's got to get out of there. Meanwhile, over in the center, Jeremy's pushing forward as well, whilst I'm pushing up on the left, and yeah, that hurt. Losing the squad, and I think I'm about to hit this other mine too. I do. That was annoying. My grenadier's not going to last this too long here. I think I was just waiting for, yeah, 1 more munition so I could get a rifle grenade off, and here it comes. He dodges away, sees the action. That's one thing, guys, if you're not looking and you're constantly being hit by grenades or any description, you need to start paying attention to the animations of the models. And, you know, when the conscripts throw their Molotovs, you see the guy pull his arm back. When the rifle grenade comes down, they often kneel on the ground. And it's the same for Americans as well, you can see them preparing it. Also, as you play, you become a bit more adept at sort of figuring out how close the enemy need to be to throw a grenade, or sort of if they're gearing up for one. And so, if you are getting hit by grenades, just keep an eye out on what the enemy troops are doing, and then try and make sure that you can get control of your units and get them out of the way as fast as possible. And so we're 7 minutes 30 seconds in, and the M5 Stuarts come in and light tank, and this Mr. Jun played it really well. He managed to keep kiting us, which basically means keeping it at the very edge of its firing range. That, you know, if we try to chase it, we just get ourselves minced. And of course, like usual, none of us have any early AT. We've gone Grenadiers and Volks Grenadiers. And we're getting machine guns on our Grenadier squads, Kaz and I, but we haven't pulled out for the second buildings yet. And unfortunately, the fuel point I've built is going to go down, which is slightly annoying. But you understand the kite here, so the moment it sees my infantry, it starts pulling back. And gosh, yeah. Now, one thing I didn't know about this game, this commander rather, is that when blizzards come along, I can't call in my air, which is kind of annoying on winter maps, especially as sometimes there were like really nice bombardments, but the flight wasn't going to happen. So we managed to take out, I think, 2 squads there, which is a nice move by Kaz and Jeremy. And I'm bringing my stuff in once more. And then I try to split my units up so I can come at it from 2 directions. But again, being that far away and just constantly falling back we're unable to really do any damage. I can't get close enough to Panzerfaust its engines, and it's fast enough to kite the conscripts. And over here, looks like Kaz is getting swept off, and there's the clown car. Classic tactic, and yeah, Kaz is going to fall back immediately. So that way he doesn't get burned or flamed to death, although that machine gun's pretty low health. I mean, if it follows, maybe a bit too slow on turning around there. But again, yeah, so that's now got 1 veterancy. It's been out in the field for 2 minutes, got 12 kills. Really good little play there by Mr. Jun. As I try and bring some stuff up into the center. And Jeremy now is building his forward base, so that's pretty nice fast of him. Again, the idea is to get Obersoldaten and Panther 5 out as fast as we can, and let Kaz upgrade it so that we can do some damage. But we managed to lose the right now. The conscripts there and the clown car, which is not healing for some reason. Yeah, there we go. M5 is just throwing us off left and right, well, the center and left points. And Jeremy moves forward again under the cover of the blizzard. So blizzards are fun in that they block a lot of line of sight, they make things a lot shorter, your troops begin to freeze. It gets a bit boring after a while, or not boring rather, but just annoying, because it adds an extra element that you have to sort of, I guess, worry about. And no one likes to have their troops freeze in the middle of an assault. You've got to send them back or try and warm them up by building a bonfire or getting them into a building. And so it just sort of generally makes the combat slow down slightly. At the same time, with the limited line of sight, when you're up against places with emplacements and when you're up against areas with emplacements and fixed positions and machine guns and so on, the decrease to line of sight, and you see these guys are freezing here, the little blue skulls. You might see a couple die actually as the cold gets to them. Nope, they're building a bonfire. But when you're trying to attack fixed positions, the blizzard really helps because it limits the sight of any machine guns or AT guns and bunkers and whatnot. The enemy's also wide off here. They didn't finish that one. My grenadiers had interrupted the assault. And here I am with my 3 Grand Squads. Managed to get the clown car, and you saw the deck charge there. Takes out another whole Grand Squad and most of the other one. Really, really harsh. If the Soviet play with spare munitions, it takes 90 to put a deck charge. You should definitely always put 1 or 2 around victory points. Never too close together. You don't want one to set off the other one. But 2 or 3 deck charges around a point, really just 1 or 2 rather than 2 or 3, really can do some great damage, especially as you see, taking out a whole Grand Squad along with half another one, and just leaving spattered bodies, not even full ones there, in the snow. But this early game, we're struggling a bit. You see the Allies on 478, we're on just under 400. We can't seem to take the left, and we can't hold the center. So we're struggling slightly. Jeremy again trying to push down against this M5 Stuart, which has run over the mine Jeremy placed. Once again, like I said in the previous games, placing mines is really important, especially on more common travel routes such as this bridge. Another great one would be on the ice, because it'll force the ice to break, so even if it doesn't kill the vehicle, it'll sink it. And my counter to help out with the Stuart was to get the armored car and give it the autocannon, so that it can do a bit of damage to the light vehicle, but combined with Panzerfaust or rocket launchers. And so we're able to sort of basically force that off a bit, which is good. We don't get it this time, I don't think. No. You've got to be careful with armored cars. They are ultra light, so they don't take much punishment. About 2 18-8s from conscripts will take one out, or even one and a bit of firepower. You know, machine gun firing at it. And yeah, I just managed to get my machine gun out before the Molotov hits it, but got to bug out of there as fast as I can, which in the deep snow is very slow. Whilst back on the left, it's not going too well. We again got thrown off, and I'm pulling out, as is Jeremy. And we're being chased by two players here, American and Soviet. I've now got an AT gun as well, which wonderfully misses with its first shot. Misses with the second one as well, which is unfortunate. And so that vehicle now, 15 kills, Vet 2. It's a real big hassle for us. As Kaz and I again try and reclaim the right. So as you see at the moment, so Kaz is focusing on the right, Jeremy's focusing on the left, and I'm kind of floating as needed. You only need to control 2 points to win the game. And so it helps if I'm helping one of the other two with their assault. Although at the same time, looking at it now, I could have pushed in the center, which would have almost been undefended. And a nice early game, Cat, 15 minutes in. Well, not too fast, but again, this game goes for an hour and 10 minutes, so there's a while yet to go. So the American player at the moment, his build, Mr. Jun, 3 rifle squads, captain, a major, and the steward. So that's a pretty balanced formation as it stands. And he can sort of almost go any direction as needed. And what command has he gone with? He's gone with Armor Company, the Assault Engineers, the Wolverine Tank Destroyer, and the Bulldozer Sherman. And we finally get it. The AT guns and the Shreks finally get that pesky M5 Stuart. Not as bad as the old Stuart in KV2, which pretty sure was the old Stuart in KV2 that the British got, and that crazy deadly canister shot used to shred infantry squads. Yeah, nothing's gonna happen there, and one of the rifle grenades manages to get the engine. I should have kept falling back and I didn't, and you see here they managed to get a rifle grenade off again, which takes the armored car. So that was 2 rifle grenades from the American infantry as well. And there you go, we've got a Vet 5 Obersoldaten already, and that was or 2 Vet 5 Obersoldaten, and that's thanks to Kaz's elite troops training. And so these two should really absolutely mince what's in front of them, even with the light vet. Yeah, I mean, oof, jeez, just dodged the artillery there, but with the flank attack, you gotta pull out, try and stay alive. And I've got a mortar as well to try and provide a bit of support. And in the far, oh, Bulldozer Sherman's out as well. Now the Bulldozer Sherman's great at taking out infantry, not very good at taking out vehicles. And squad goes down there and leaves a light machine gun for someone to pick up. And over on this side, Jeremy's trying to sneak and grab the left point. And we got the first repair station. So these guys built, it was Yomu I guess, built tons of these repair stations everywhere. Great for keeping up the armor and making sure that your tanks, well, have a place to heal without needing engineers. Keep them in the fight longer and so on. And I pull out a squad and throw down some anti-infantry strafe to make sure I get away. So we come off from that engagement, we win. Oof. See the Bulldozer Sherman there again. And SU, a cat. The cat's gonna fire, let's track the rockets. Straight under those Obersoldaten. Thankfully we managed, or Jeremy manages to get out of there without losing anybody. I went with a half track, and I didn't really play this half track very well. I didn't manage it very well, but it's upgrading to flamers. I thought I'd try and get rid of the point, but the Su-85 comes running in, and I'm turning around to leave, but yeah, I let 2 shots get off. Desperately trying to run out of there. I make it this time, which is lucky. In the center again, we're doing another push. Jeremy mainly, my weapons in support. I've got 2 AT guns, mortar. Come across that SU there. So I mean, the infantry should win, but again, the vehicle's able to get away and outpace it, which is why it's important to try and get Fausts and combine arms, take out the engines. Another strafing run to deal with that infantry blob, but yeah, that bulldozer Sherman should end up beating this infantry off, unfortunately. The machine guns backfiring, suppress the Volksgren there. And so you see how important it is, especially in these big games, for players to work together and also have, like usual, combined arms. And I throw out an anti-tank strafe, and that was a bad move. There was no way the tank was going to stay. But yeah. And Kaz getting pushed back after pushing forward himself. So Kaz basically managed to take this point with a bit of help by me, but mainly himself, and set up with an AT gun, machine gun, and eventually mortar as well, just to basically keep control of this area. And that's really what saved us. If we hadn't been able to hold at least one of the points, this game would have been over a lot sooner than it was. So I think I'm trying to make a move on that Sherman, but yeah, it's not going to work. So things at the moment as it stands are pretty alright. We've got control of a decent amount of territory, we're bringing in some resources, and well, not as much as the Allies. As you can see, we're making a lot less fuel, and a lot less munitions, but we're not horribly low, and we're making headway again. Jeremy's currently taking the left, which is important. But that bulldozer Sherman, I mean, first was the M5 traveling around and dealing damage, and now he's got the bulldozer Sherman with its howitzer cannon, 105mm howitzer. And yeah, I mean, just absolute nasty item there. Meanwhile, Kaz is a bit static in his defense, but again, what's important is that we have the flag. You know, he doesn't need to be pushing too much. He's got 2 machine guns there that'll cover a lot of ground, grenadiers they can attack with, and some Panzer grenadiers which he's upgraded to a Shrek. I've got a few AT guns in the center. Kaz has brought one of his in the center as well, but the Cats have just been bombarding the hell out of the forward base there, the Schwerpanzer headquarters. And in fact, another battery arrives just on time, and both bunkers being really close together is not a good idea. That was a bit of, not necessarily a fail, but not quite good town planning on Jeremy's behalf, because both are within 1 cat battery, and the AT gun gets taken out, and, you know. So you really, yeah, see, both of those buildings are almost gone now, which is not good. They're way too close together. And the Panther command tank is down. It's already up to Vet 2, and that's thanks to Kaz's troop training. And so it's going after that bulldozer Sherman. And you see the bulldozer Sherman just does nothing to it. And goes down nice and fast, but you've got 4 potential AT nades there. But nope, he's not gonna, he didn't throw it, why not? He had enough munitions for 1. Does he have AT grenades? He should. Yes, he does. Now, when it comes to Soviet players, you always want to get the headquarters, not necessarily straight away, but you know, it's great to heal your troops. And that kind of speaks for itself. I generally prefer to get the AT grenade first, as it lets you deal with armored cars, early armored cars, Kuba wagons, and so on. And the Molotov's good, but not necessary. You know, it's nice, especially in getting entrenched infantry out of buildings, for example. But you can sort of do that with decent micro and numbers. Whereas you have nothing with conscripts to deal with tanks outside of the AT grenade, which is why it's important to get. And so Kaz here, trying to... I'm not sure what's going on here. He's not attacking and he's going to let his bunker get flamed to death. Another battery coming down. Takes out the med bunker. It's just all kinds of damage falling down on them now. And there's 2 cats on the field. 2 cats, and that's another Sherman. 105 Sherman. But that infantry blob as it stands, and there's 2 infantry blobs. There's the American rifle blob and there's this conscript blob. They're just too hard for us to deal with early on. As if you hear anything in the background, it's one of my roommates in the kitchen. Sorry for the extra noise. But the infantry blob was just too rough for us to deal with, especially one-on-one units. And I'm not sure what I'm doing with this AT gun. Not watching it, that's for sure. And it's going to go down. Yeah. So I mean, one-on-one, even 2-on-1, these oversold are going to win. But as it stands at the moment, you're not going to be able to take out 4 or 5 squads at a single time moment. AT gun there giving support to these guys. And that Sherman better pull out. Yeah, it does. Well, we've got some armor over this side as well. SU and another cat dealing damage. Kaz. I mean, if a cat landed there, it would have a field day of damage. But Panther command tank up against a tank destroyer, the M36 Jackson. I tried to launch a big bomb on that Jackson, but missed, unfortunately. And I've called another one on this, yeah, try and get the ambulance and take out that infantry. But unfortunately, the SU and the flame tank switched its gun to solid shell, and that SU is going to take out the Panther, which it does. So that was unfortunate. Jeremy probably pushed a little too far trying to take out the Jackson, which also managed to survive, I believe. But yeah. And look at that, 3 cats now launching. The first one's already got 19 kills, and it's all just falling down. I think I lose both of these AT guns. I struggle sometimes about figuring out what to do when I come on the battery. Like infantry, you run straight away. Fair enough. Vehicles can survive a bit and get out, but the AT gun moves so slow that to get out of the battery range takes a bit of time. I mean, I've seen other players and done it myself where you move it and you end up running into a rocket. Whereas if you'd stayed still, you would have been fine. So, you know, it's a bit of a hard one to call sometimes. But either way, 2 of my AT guns are alive. One of them manages to get out of that battery. As a flame tank appears. And look, another battery's been called down on top of the... I don't think I was watching. I think I'm about to lose a Grand Squad. Maybe even 2. Yeah, one gets taken out by the artillery and one gets taken out by the flame tank. And now Jeremy's lost all 3 of his buildings, well, both buildings and his second one to try and reclaim it. And I lost 2 of my AT guns as well. So that was not a good time. And we're struggling a bit at the moment. We're managing to keep it even, but you know, we're hardly winning. And I think I may lose my water too, and I do. My strafing run unfortunately comes a bit too late to save the mortar. So I mean, I've just managed to lose a lot of stuff. In fact, almost my entire force bar. Some engineers. You see the engineers here. I am picked up a fallen LMG, and I also have a mine detector. When you grab a mine detector on your engineers, both for Soviets and Wehrmacht, you de-equip the guns from the soldier, and they'll permanently be holding a mine layer. So keep in mind your unit's now fighting at 3/4 strength instead of full strength. Unlike assault pyres for the OKW, which are able to toggle between the two, which frankly should be made for all. I mean, if you're going to add something like that, it should be standard for everyone, not so special, because it's a real big advantage. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but when building sandbags, an old KV2 strategy was to lay wire in the front side so the enemy can't run up and use the cover against you. And that didn't happen here, not that it, I guess, is necessary, but it's helpful. And you see, you've got KV2 heavy assault tank, which is great at taking out infantry. Some shelling here there. Building sandbags to keep it all nice and safe. I mean, that seems a slight waste. I don't think it's totally necessary, but you know. And a vehicle repair crew station as well to keep them all in the action, whilst the Soviets, 2 snipers, conscripts, and an SU are pushing forward here. Managed to take out that bunker that Kazad had. I got another Grand Squad running up this way to help. Whilst we get look at that, so 2 KV2s now, Jackson and SU. There's already a lot of armor in the field. We are 30 minutes in. Keep in mind the first game I showed you, which was Fast and Furious with lots of tank warfare, only lasted 36. So this game has been a bit slow, not for lack of action, just we've been able to contest the center victory point a lot more. But now that those KV2s are out, our infantry begin to get shredded, as you see. Another Panther. Getting engines down, it's getting chased. 2 tank destroyers. Jerry manages to throw down some smoke, blocking line of sight, but those tank destroyers are hounding it and eventually manage to take the Panther out, which is unfortunate. Which is Kaz's, I realise now, not Jeremy's. And Kaz has also built some of his own artillery, a Panzerwerfer, rocket launcher. I personally, I mean, I've used them before as well in the past. They're not as good as the Cats in my opinion. And I kind of sometimes struggle to figure out why I'd bother taking one. I don't like the sort of spread of rockets. I almost prefer just the mortar half-track myself. But yeah, look at this. So they've got 3 KV2s now. Deal damage to infantry and tanks. And anything that makes its way towards the center has got to run this gauntlet of fire. And you'll see that not a lot survives when they do try to do this. And I didn't realize you could make it immobile, and it's basically just a firing position. But breaking the ice, which is important because it limits the way you can assault, right? I can only then come across the land instead of going across the ice, which limits my way and basically funnels me into a choke point. You know, if he had a machine gun or 2 as well, it would be very deadly. Boom, and there's a nice big rocket hit. But you see that those rockets only do about 50% damage, or just under 50% damage. So whilst it's helpful, it's not, you know, without more support. And of course I try to bring in an AT gun and just watch how soon it goes down. The vehicle repair station means that that tank will be back up and running in no time at all. Things at this moment are quiet on the right. Kaz and Jeremy are sort of pushing around in the center along with myself. I'm sort of struggling to figure out what I want to do. You look at my fuel, I've got basically none. And that's because every time I could, I was transferring it into munitions to feed LMGs or rifle grenades or, you know, my call-ins. And so I never really got much of a vehicle force. In fact, I didn't get any vehicles at all outside of that half-track you saw earlier, which didn't last too long either. But here I go with the push. Grand Squad instantly wiped out, just one shell from each tank. And yeah, it's not going to last it. I'm going to try and get out of there. My AT gun's firing desperately, but do I move it forward? No. Oop. Bang. Yeah. Another volley of 3 shells and that AT gun's gone as well. As they begin to push up, and so Jeremy's lost his buildings, and he's built it back up again, back at base, where it's generally going to be nice and safe. A few players attack and bombard the base areas. I kind of half find it unsporting, a bit unnecessary. And this isn't going to end well for that. Yeah, desperately try and retreat. I'm not sure it's going to get there. No, it's not. Oh, it manages to get out. So Jeremy's built himself a Jagdpanzer 4. Try and deal with the KVs. But look at the range of those things. You know, it's not going to go well for him. He needs some support there. And as you see, they've just been throwing cat batteries into his base, which, again, rather unsporting, but does help win the battle. So I guess if you want to try and win faster and cleaner, well, not cleaner, but faster. And the blizzard making line of sight difficult for everybody. Let's see what we're looking at. And look at those KV2s just launching shells. And lots of tank destroyers still. Tons of vehicle repair stations. So all over the place. Oh, another bombardment, and that landed where the tank destroyers were, almost taking that one out. Now, one thing I learned in the game, well, I noticed rather. Jeez, friends, that wasn't fun. Shoot the plane down and crashes, and then an anti-tank strafe comes running in, doesn't take it out. One thing I noticed with your anti-tank strafes is you basically want to sort of focus the last third on the target, and at the time I was either putting it on the very edge or centered around the vehicle I wanted to hit, and it was doing damage like you saw, but it wasn't taking them out. Once I sort of started putting the tank basically exactly in the last third of the strafing run, I was taking out these KV2s in single round passes. And that was a bit unlucky. I managed to get the rocket off, but it only makes the tank abandoned. It doesn't destroy it. Jeremy trying to push forward here, or is it Kaz? A.A.Ron, and those two AT guns, or at least that one's definitely gone. And these are 4 Obersoldaten squads, all vetted, 1 vet 5, all with STGs. You know, that's a nasty force, and it minced that American push. I just lose another AT gun, desperately trying to get up so I can try and take out that damaged KV2. Lots of artillery falling down everywhere. The face of the map's changed. Don't forget, just an extra feature with the blizzards is that while the ice can get destroyed during a blizzard or refreeze, which is quite a little funky feature. But yeah, I'm trying to take out that KV2 there, and then oh, there's another bombing strike coming in somewhere. Oof, almost take it out. It only needed like one more shot, I think, to take that, but the AT gun just gets done by the cat battery and fire. But you see here, now this Soviet player, Yomu, has 4 KV2s and absolutely no infantry anymore. And that's bad. You need to have infantry in this game. You know, Kaz has got Grand Squad and Panzer Grand, a lot of AT as well, and he's got himself a Tiger Ace. So, you know, we're managing to hold in there, but as you see, we're technically losing at the moment, and we're sort of running out of ideas. We haven't been able to really contest the center since these 3 KV2s appeared. And I'm running, what, 2 Grand Squads, and because I just keep losing my AT guns as I run them forward and they get minced, basically. Oop, Tiger Ace comes in on the flank. Another rocket strike coming in somewhere. Try and do a bit of damage on those KV2s. The Tiger Ace has got to pull out though with that infantry and the 2 tank destroyers coming in. Tiger Ace is good, but it's not that good. It won't take out all 5. The Walking Stuka was good. We started throwing down some really nice bombardments. See a lot of damage already in the face of the map. And I mean, unfortunately, the Soviet player is at 100% pop cap with his 4 KV2s. So how much are they each? A lot, I imagine. 24, yeah. And I try and deal with that infantry push for them with a strafing run. Moving forward and back, tit for tat. And so yeah, just there we managed to shoot the ice out from underneath the tank. That was just a lucky shot, but it's one reason you got to be careful when you're moving your vehicles, especially on water maps. You don't want to lose it to ice breaking, and those cat batteries are just mincing us. We lost 2 squads there. Almost lose an AT gun, or I might still. Thankfully, that's how the cat comes forward and the Jagdpanzer is able to get it. And I'm throwing out any tank runs. So you see, yeah, at the moment I hadn't placed it correctly, so I did some damage, but I didn't take either of them out. Yomu at the same time is floating a lot of fuel, so we could technically, I mean, he's able to get, well, fuel-wise, 3 already, and manpower-wise, he's almost ready to get 2 more replacement KV2s as needed. And as you see, they can take a lot of punishment. The Obersoldaten desperately trying to push forward and take the points. And the squad over here is probably going to die on the VP, unfortunately. Jeremy's going to try and pull it out. Jagdpanzer doing a lot of damage, but it's only got a single kill to its name. You don't want to lose it. My AT gun's up in support. Unfortunately, the Jagdpanzer goes down. AT gun goes down to a single shell. And the Tiger Ace pops around the corner. I think just managed to get that tank destroyer there, which is nice. Flare goes up. I'm calling it a bombing strike somewhere. I think here. Yeah, he realizes he's going to try and move. Oh, no. Where'd that go? There. Oh no. It's some of Jeremy's artillery as well. Just took a bombing strike. So as it stands, they've got control of the left, we've got control of the right. They haven't really pushed at any stage against us, and Kaz only has it lightly held with a few support weapons. That is a lot of manpower that he's using to just basically hold the area. And you saw us do the same thing on steps in the 4v4. Leave a few units just to defend and make sure nothing can basically just walk in and take it. Tiger Ace doing some damage, already got 20 kills. So it's definitely making its money back. Although we realize that another way of playing this is instead of getting Tiger Aces, I think you can't get a normal Tiger with this doctrine, but get Panthers or Tigers and try and build it up and just vet it up with the troop training doctrine. And it looks like Yongmu's decided to go for a bit of an attack here. All 4 KV2s are pushing forward. We were desperately shouting out, we need the AT, get the stuff here. I got one AT gun, Kaz has got his AT gun. Firing away. My AT gun isn't firing. That's nice. And it goes down. So we got one of the KV2s now. Oh, we lost both of our AT guns. Unfortunately, the Tiger Ace is trying to stay around and do a bit of damage. The Walking Stuka comes in, doing a great bit of damage as well. And the Tiger Ace manages to get a second one. Though Yongmu's already called in a new one. But he managed to lose half his force, make that 3/4 of his force there. And then the Tiger Ace goes down to those SU-85s. But 3 KV2s out for basically the flak building only. The AT guns are easily replaceable. Tiger Ace going down at the end there, which is a harsh loss, but that was only to the SUs. So that assault by Yumu wasn't very well timed. It was the one time so far that his vehicles haven't been supported by infantry or vehicle repairs, and he got hammered for it. My rocket strike there does a bit of damage but doesn't take anything out. But yeah, Mr. Jun here decides to get a little cocky. You'll see in a moment he says thanks for decapping a point for him with the rocket strike, which is an added feature of the big bomb. If it lands on a control point, it'll neutralize it, which is also quite fun to do. Ooh, something just blew up, I missed it. Another vehicle there, which is a nice way to sort of cut off points. You can send the recon and then do the Stuka bomb to basically decap areas or fuel points from your opponent. I mean, possibly a slight waste of munitions, but considering the strike costs 160 and the recon 35, but if you're desperate or you really need to cut them off, then that's the way to do it. But you see now, those KV2s really managed to keep control of the center, at least until they just pushed forward then. And we've got half the victory points they do, much closer to defeat at the moment. And he's managed to replenish his force. He's got 3 again, but they're standing back. They're not moving up like they were before, which is a shame. And I would not have gone for a 4th one. I don't know if he does, but this guy needs some infantry or something else other than just KV2s. And the big infantry blob push. And so, I mean, my grenadiers, they can give a good fight and good account of themselves, but against 4 squads, those 2 aren't going to cut it, frankly. Oop, what's firing there? Walking Stuka. Managing to do a bit of damage onto those American rifle squads. I think I've got an AT gun there. It's firing, did fire at that twice. And you see here I'm building a lot more Gren squads, and this was sort of where the game turned around slightly. I mean, look at Mr. Jun, look at that manpower float, 1500, and he's only got half strength of his army. That's really not good. He should be building all kinds of things, from AT guns, artillery, pulling out tank destroyers, or you shouldn't be floating like that, especially if you're not at your pop cap. So that's one thing you guys need to try and be aware of when you're playing yourselves, is to make sure you're spending your resources. Those KV2s are just too nasty. Well, we'll try to show up our AT defense and... Oh, look how close we get to taking that out. And I also threw a big bombardment on that one, which did some damage, took the ice out. I was hoping it may have just been on the ice, and so that would have actually taken it and made it fall into the water. That wasn't the case. But, I'm looking back at it, they could have kept control of this area a lot better. But then sort of managed to let us begin to reclaim it. We managed to decap the left, we managed to contest the center a bit now. Those snipers really start to become a bit of a problem. Really annoying, and again, they are played very well by Waremba. You look at that, look at his float, I mean that's crazy. Especially considering he's not a pop cap, and he hasn't even chosen a commander yet, which is even crazier. I mean, if he'd taken IS-2s or 152s, we would have really been screwed. In fact, IS-152s combined with the KV2, and we wouldn't be doing anything with our infantry or AT guns. Jeremy pushing up on the left, trying to take the point. The bulldozer Sherman comes in. Again, Jeremy's got no AT support there, so that Sherman's just, it's free reign against the infantry. Nothing Jeremy can do against it, so he's got to pull out. Oop! Another strike. Takes out the command center and does a bit of damage to that KV2. 28 kills it's got. Nasty. Make that 29. And I haven't really been focusing on it this game, but where's all the cat wreckages? There's a few there. Managed to take out a few of their cats by throwing recon and then the tank strafes at them. Considering we were just losing the artillery war, every time we moved we just had bombardment after bombardment. My ability to take out those things was really helpful for our team. Oof, almost take out the sniper with any infantry strafe. Because it just, I mean, the cats are really good. Well, they are really good. And it just, oop, there's an anti-tank strafe coming in somewhere. Oh no, anti-infantry. But look at the floats that they're throwing compared to us. We've got, outside of myself, better or around the same kind of manpower level, but far less resources because we're really using them. Although at the same time we have some nasty losses. And something's coming in. Anti-tank strafe again. Again, almost takes it out. Not quite. Did some damage to the Sherman there too. Yeah, I mean, 125 points. Things aren't looking solid. They're still touch and go for us. And again, what am I doing with this AT gun? I'm going to lose it. You've already got pack 40s everywhere. And Obersoldaten coming through. Jeremy's running how many squads? 4? 3 Obersoldaten squads. Cat coming down on every... That's multiple cats. And he's got... Oof. 3 cats at the moment. I think I spotted 2. I don't have the resources to throw a bombardment out. Kaz is here with his Panther and infantry AT gun. Oh, spots a damaged KV. We managed to get it. That was with the Jagdpanzer and the Panther. Desperately trying to get as much AT as we can, basically, because we weren't dealing with too much infantry. But you see here, Yomu now's managed again lose 2 of his KV2s, and he's not got the resources, manpower, to get another one. And again, no infantry. I mean, I'm not sure. I guess he's waiting for another, but he really would have done better to have something else. Speaking out of hindsight. Kaz, 3 AT guns, a mortar, 2 machine guns, Panther, Grenadier squad, and the Panzer Grenadier. So he's got a nice force, heavy on the AT. I'm now running 4 Grenadier squads and an AT gun. And there I managed to get it. So that's when I figured out the placement, and I began to take out a few more, I think. But yeah, that was nice to get that big vet 2-1. And Yomu's force is suddenly very small, very useless. And again, he pulls it out. He's floating fuel and munitions like a madman. And any infantry strafe. I think I'm trying to get the snipers. No, that recon. Those snipers. Too strong. I'm able to make a move. Oof. Tanks are just going down left, right, and center here. Yeah, 2 SUs, 3 again. Voremba has no infantry. So the only things that can really cap are Mr. Jun's riflemen. He's got 4 squads, but that's not going to compete against all the infantry that we have, especially considering Jeremy's our Obersoldat. Noel just lost another 2 Grand squads as they were retreating from the Cat battery. The artillery was really harsh, and managed to miss without any infantry strafe, which is slightly annoying. Great walking Stuka battery, takes out a squad, damages the second one. And those Vet 5 Obersoldaten, they've got 63 kills. And Jeremy mentioned at the end that the squad that Kaz upgraded, I think, does survive to the end of the game, which is quite nice. Jeremy's on 20 command points, Kaz and I are on 16. It's exactly the same as them, Mr. John on 20 and Yomu and Voremba on 16. But suddenly, you know, the game feels like it's turning a bit. You know, we've begun to get control of the left a bit more. We're contesting the center once more, which we weren't able to do during the mid-game thanks to those KV2s. Oof, another bombing strike, another KV2 gone. You know, so 2 things with Yomu, considering those KV2s were so nasty, is he focused too much on them, and then he wasn't paying enough attention to them, especially considering I was throwing out bombardments. He really should have, you know, cottoned on and the moment saw smoke or heard the Stuka coming in, move his vehicles out of the way, which wasn't happening. Now, you know, earlier on in the center, we were struggling a bit, nothing was really going well. We actually did talk to and ask if we wanted to surrender, especially considering that, what is that? Considering that it was quite late at night and Kaz basically only had time for 1 more, so we decided we'd stick with it. Oh, look here, the tanks are trying to reverse and managed to block each other in, And that should get taken out. It does, oh, just in the nick of time, because they immediately died of that KV2. Oversold struggling to take the left. My infantry pushing forward, and again, once I stopped going from 2 Grens and just started pumping out multiple Grens, making sure that I had about 3 or 4 at any given time, my infantry blob was able to take out their infantry blobs, and you know, I was able to take the point and keep hold of the point. So I mean, the real lesson for the Allies in this one is to have infantry. I mean, triple snipers is fun, but doesn't help you take land. So they've only got 4 mainline infantry squads compared to our 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, double the infantry of power that they have at the moment. It's still a close game, but we're managing to get the tally back down a bit. And suddenly we've got all 3 points, which is something new. And I mean, I'm even pushing onto their munition points down here, which is the first time since the early game that we've managed to get to their side of the river. We've also managed to take the point here. The game's really reversing a bit now, which is great for us. You know, we were beginning to feel a bit hardened, thinking that we could definitely bring it back and win what had been a very hard fought fight as we reached the hour mark. Another blizzard is approaching, or has approached. Multiple snipers. I mean, how many? I think he only ever ran 3 at a given moment. Still enough to take out. I mean, 4 will take out a whole squad at once, but losing 3 guys almost instantaneously is a nasty, nasty shock. But again, nothing to support it with. You know, the cats are great for supporting infantry pushes, but there's no infantry to push with. And it is freezing, and things are a little quiet at the moment. One of my ATU guns is going to get taken out. Desperately trying to fall back. Walking Stuck is coming in. Takes out that machine gun. KV2's coming in to support. Managed to get 2 more. I mean, hasn't even built up his engineers, which are freezing the. Yeah. I'm not sure what he was thinking. But with 1 goes down, Panther, Jagdpanzer, Rocket Strike, and both of those are down. And Yomu's got 1 engineer. I mean, really bad play, frankly, by Yomu. He went with a gimmick, and I mentioned, a Rocket Strike takes out that. Oh, big Stuka bomb. And so 2 bombardments by myself. Some great tank warfare by the Jagdpanzer and Panther. And when that gets vetted up, it gets the ability to camouflage itself, which is really nice. It gives a damage bonus to its first shot. Some artillery of their own takes out my infantry. I'm pushing forward here along with those Obersoldaten. We're really beginning to hammer them on all fronts again. Now that Yomu's got basically nothing, and he pulled out a flame tank. Again, bad move. He really should just be pulling out conscripts, or if he had him, penal bats, considering the manpower. He could be throwing flamers on it all, try and deal with our infantry. Mr. Jun managed to lose a lot as well, but he's still got a couple of the rifle squads up. Whereas Varemba, I mean, look at that float. It's crazy. Again, no conscripts. I mean, as a Soviet player, to have no conscripts, either of them, is, I mean, just a cardinal sin. And, you know, the big change in this game was when we really started pumping out infantry. We were able to take the points. I mean, what are they planning on taking the victory points with? And they're not being able to push up on the right at all, really. And I've got a grand squad that's just slowly working its way down. Hopefully I pull it out. I don't want it to die. Pumping out AT guns. Gosh, I don't think I'm noticed what's happening. And yeah, that's gonna die. Meanwhile, over here we've got Oversoldat and Kaz again pushing. I just had another strike come running through. I think another tank strike which took out a tank destroyer. Yeah. Wow, unlucky. Both of those shots basically did no damage. Wow, that was unlucky. And gets the hell out of there. And all the vehicle repair crew stations, making sure the tanks stay alive, but I mean, how much do they cost to build? Check in a minute. You know, and then Walking Stuka and my artillery come down. Almost take those snipers out if they'd just been a bit more forward. Where's engineers? Not his. Remember's engineers. So to build. No, doesn't say. But again, Remember hasn't even chosen a commander yet. I mean, I'm not sure what he was thinking. I mean, no commander, almost 4,000 manpower float. Granted, he's close to his max cap, but I mean, you've got call-ins. You've got the incendiary bombardment there. You've got the precision bombing strike there, which is 4 of those big bombs, and he's floating with 1,700 manpower, munitions. So, I mean, this game was a bit tough for us to begin with, but looking back at it, we really should not have even made it to an hour. And as you see now, we're in the lead. We've managed to just take them under our points. You know, which incidentally is another thing, guys. When you're struggling, when you're not sure whether you should be playing or not, as long as you got units, as long as you got the time as well, keep fighting. There's not really much point to surrendering too early. It's not a fun way to play for anyone involved, or you don't want to be losing. At the same time, your opponent wants to have a bit of fun, and I think I just managed to take out one of his cats too. Where's it? Remember, I think one of the cats was in base. Yeah, there it was. I just took that out. And that's the other thing. I mean, you notice the cats at one point were up on this center line, and now they've been forced all the way back to the back of their base. Now, losing a cat and a sniper, he should be pumping out infantry so they can start to take points. I mean, you can fit 3 or 4 conscript squads out. He's not going to, but that's again an issue with the 4v4. When I talked about in the first one how you're able to play a bit more gimmicky and do things that you could not at all get away with in a 1-on-1 or 2v2 game. The 4v4 does let you get away with it. I mean, at the end of the day, they managed to... Oof, just missed there. They managed to sort of keep us going, and we're winning for a long time by being gimmicky. But now that we've got the infantry force, we are able to take the points, we've got the support weapons, and our force is just far more balanced, far more general, and that's all across all 3 of us. And we've managed to turn it back. And the only one without any frontline infantry is Kaz. And he's at his pop cap, but he's got great support, and he's got 2 Panthers to deal damage, you know. But one last run through. Again, no frontline infantry. 3 squads, all stuck there by my firing because they're running in a blob. And look at this. Now he's playing. Yomu's pulling out T-34-76 as the standard medium tank for the Soviets. And if you're coming out with that, then you know he's panicking. And he's gonna, again, he rams, which is a really bad way to play. You know, you see it takes that out and took their engine out, but he lost 2 out of his 3 tanks. You know, that's not a good way of playing when you've got so low. You should need to be conserving your forces and trying to be a bit slow. I mean, we weren't pushing too far forward. The only time we did was Jeremy's Panther Command tank, and we paid the price for that. Other than that, oh, and look, I mean, he's the one that got immobilized, and so he just loses all 3 tanks. I mean, on suicidal rushes that did very little damage to us. You know, we lost the X-ray half-track, an infrared half-track, and the Walking Stickers got engine damage. That's it. I'm not sure what he was trying to achieve. Oh, yeah, our artillery meet in the center, which is interesting. I didn't notice that the first time when I was playing. My infantry pushed forward once more. That's right, I tried to take out, and I did take it. Managed to get that cat. All 3 cats are now gone, so you know I'm really beginning to flex my muscles with the munitions. I'm beginning to get some good batteries, and now that I again figured out that you wanted your target to be basically in the last third of the bombardment run, instead of doing damage, I'm taking the vehicles out, which is important. And our artillery is beginning to take on their artillery and win, which again is important. You know, as they say, infantry win firefights, tanks win battles, and artillery win wars. That grenade just does no damage to that 5 Obersoldaten at all. I mean, it helps that we're... Oh, and now he finally goes with the commander in the last few minutes of the game to get IS-2s as well. I mean, too little too late as far as I can see. And again, he goes for an IS-2 instead of pulling out infantry. What's he planning on capping with? And considering how many KV2s and all the anti-tank ability we have, move forward unsupported and gets immediately pushed back. And he's not watching what's happening here. It's out of range and it's going to go down. Misses. Ooh. Another bombing strike. Jeez, look, front armor has managed to take on 4 shots now from this thing. 5 shots. Jeez, that's crazy. 6. But one finally gets through and it's gone. So that was again a complete waste. But it's what happens when you begin to panic. And they're desperately trying with 26 points now. Game's firmly in our control and they surrender. So, I mean, looking back at it, guys, they had control of the vast majority of the map. There was nothing we could do when they had the 3 KV2s in the center. The cat batteries were just destroying us as well. But what they let happen was we whittled away their infantry forces, and eventually they just had nothing to take on our infantry with and nothing to basically recap territory. I mean, which is a shame because they played pretty well otherwise. You know, and my force never got too large again, just grenadiers and AT guns basically, and a lot of call-ins. We'll check out the overview, let you see the kills and damage from all the players, and see who gets man of the match. If it wants to load up, of course, you know, there's a bit of time. But again, our general strategy, using Kaz to upgrade those Obersoldaten, me to call in artillery, me to call in my aircraft, and Jeremy to do a lot of the hardline, frontline fighting, it eventually paid off. We struggled a bit in the early to mid, but once we got the tools together, we tried to make sure our stuff stayed generally alive, and we managed to get through it. And so yeah, my 17 deaths. I mean, look at the overview here. I'll show you. So I actually got 90k damage, not 89. last time I played this. It's funny sometimes how the replays damage and kill score slightly different. But our damage is a lot higher than theirs, almost double basically. We're doing a lot more damage to their vehicles, but their kills, I mean my kills and losses are not very good. As you see, almost 300 losses for only 100 to 11 kills. And Jeremy obviously doing a lot of the frontline fighting there, 284. Yomu and Varemba, I'm kind of disappointed in. I don't know if they just simply forgot to get a commander or just don't like conscripts, but they really should have focused a bit more on that. And yeah, look at that. 20 Grenadier units I produced and lost 17 throughout the fight. So I'm a bit of a Pyrrhic commander, to be honest with you. 16 produced, 17 lost. But the game was a good one. Hard fought battle. They had definite control, especially with those KV2s in the early on, but we didn't panic too badly. We pulled together and we eventually began to just whittle them away. But again, the turn came when they pushed forward with those 4 KV2s and managed to lose 3 of them in the assault. If Yomu hadn't done that and just stuck to holding the center, it would have been a lot harder for us to have taken the center points and reclaim the game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, and let me know what you think.